Hello, everyone. Good evening or good afternoon. Can you hear me? Okay, can you hear me now? Okay, great. Great. Now we will start our first session from our series about drones. We will have a series from the skies to the future, exploring drone applications in various industries. This series will be a collaboration with Sheflies Community. It's a community interested in drone technology, and her presenters will give us a presentation about this community. This session, its name, Introduction to Drone Technology. And first, we will start about an introduction about our community, African Women in GIS, and will be presented by my colleague, Juliet. Juliet, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Good evening, everyone. I would start to share my screen now.
Okay, I will stop sharing. Okay, you can share.
So can you guys see my screen? Can you see my screen?
Yes. Your screen is clear. You can start, Juliet.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for attending. We are African Women in GIS. So I'm going to present our story and our mission and our goal. So we're a community made up of African women around the world who work and study and are enthusiastic about the geospatial industry and its related fields. So this community is aimed to allow its members to be themselves. We create connection, we gain membership, mentors, get career advice, partake in geo projects to improve our portfolios, assess jobs, as well as cost information and showcase our work to the world. So our mission is to create a safe space for African women in the geospatial industry, irrespective of their career level. Our vision is to bridge the gap, the gender gap in the African geospatial industry. So what do we stand for? This is our color. The leafy green shows our love for nature and geo. Pitch black, unity and support among members. Light gray, gender equality. Pure white is safety and safe space. Our history, this community started first as two separate country groups. Chidinma started Africa, Women in GIS Nigeria, then Sienna started Women in GIS Ghana. That was 2017 and 2019. So in June 2019, Chidinma reached out to, the both of them met on LinkedIn. They discussed their reasons for creating the respective platform for women in their individual countries. After that, the genesis of African Women in GIS happened in October 2019. Then we had 41 members from Nigeria, 11 members from Ghana, then 1 member from Burkina Faso. Our community is growing. We have about 500 plus members residing in 30 plus countries. As of May 2020, we had most of our members residing in Nigeria, Kenya, Ghana, Egypt, and South Africa. So due to our growth, we have 28 volunteers who help to run the organization. So the locations of all our members, you can see it on this map. So the problems that influence our existence, we have the male-dominated geo industry, then lack of female role models and career guidance, then inaccessible GIS and job information. Then we have inaccessible and affordable GIS events and courses, lack of GIS potential awareness, lack of grassroots awareness. We have the fundamental problems include African GIS industry and other STEM fields are dominated by men, as we all know. Then we have lack of proper career guidance, inadequate school curriculum, then lack of exposure to African women, to African female GIS role models. Then we have lack of grassroots GIS benefits and application awareness among the students as well as the public. We have gender career tendencies of African parents. So we have the career path problem, limited number of GIS related jobs in African countries, inaccessible GIS job information, lack of female GIS mentors for career guidance. Then we have inaccessibility and affordability of GIS events. Sorry, can you hear me? Inaccessibility of
yes, Juliet.
That's my network. And skill upgrade courses, no knowledge of community membership. So how are we contributing to solve all these problems? We are networking, we are learning, we have mentorship, we have our awareness, then we are community activities. Our membership is restricted to only women. However, our webinars, our events, and most of our activities are made public. As you can see, these are our programs. So in our mentorship programs, we have the following. We have the cohort 1, we had 9 mentees and 7 mentors. This whole cohort 1, cohort 2, cohort 3. So these are testimonies from our past mentees. You can see these are their locations on the map. So our community has created a platform which is a source of motivation for African women to take up career paths in GIS. We aim to expand in the coming year to support more African women in the GIS industry, introduce the younger generation to GIS courses, GIS careers, help Africa benefit from the applications of GIS and its related field, as well as fundamentally bridging the gender gap in the African geospatial industry. We are open to fellow African women in Africa or in diaspora who wish to join our Slack and WhatsApp group. So you can follow us on LinkedIn and Twitter. We'll drop our social media handle links. Then you can also view our website, then view the geospatial world through the African woman's eyes. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Juliet. Thanks all for listening for this presentation about African women in GIS community. Now let's move to Racheal. She will give us a brief about Sheflies community. Racheal, can you hear me? Racheal? Okay, sure. I will unmute you. Letwin, can you make Racheal a host, co-host?
Okay, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, Racheal, you can start.
Okay,
I think you
thank you,
can share.
Safinaz.
My pleasure. You can share your screen also.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, yes, you can start.
Okay, all right. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for being here once again. My name is Racheal, and I'll be giving a short presentation on Sheflies community. So Sheflies, Sheflies is a community aiming to strengthen and empower females in STEM, that's the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, particularly in the unmanned aircraft systems industry, by driving early development of interest among young females in all relevant sectors, while exposing them to required knowledge and skills through mentorship, networking, and engagement. So our vision is basically empowering females in the drone industry. And what is our mission? Our mission is to encourage more females to develop interest in the drone, that's the UAS industry, especially from early ages, to inspire young females into self-discovery. And what is the strategy we use to achieve this mission and our vision? Our strategy is to close the knowledge gap among females in the UAS and drone industry by building an online ecosystem through collaboration and engagements. Our major objectives are exposing members to technical knowledge of drone operations, exposing members to knowledge of what industry to apply drone skills to, foster collaboration and partnership among members, mentor young females on career development within the drone industry, circulate available industry opportunities among our members, provide members with skills necessary to engage in the industry, and so many more. We also do capacity building, industry relevance, lending a voice, maximizing technology, and increase employability. That's empowering the girl child to gain confidence and knowledge in STEM, thereby increasing their chances of being gainfully engaged. So you can follow us on our social media platforms. On Twitter, it's sheflies.org. On Instagram is sheflies.org. And on LinkedIn is sheflies community. So we want to do a quick recap of all our programs in 2022. In January 15, 2022, we had a welcome meeting and strategy session for the year, where we discussed activities for the year. On January 27, 2022, we're featured on Women and Drones Africa Fireside Chats, where we had sponsorship, trainees, collaborations. And on February 25, 2022, we had an online drone training and community session, which was facilitated by Chidinma Eke. On March 5th, 2022, we had a physical drone training. Our instructor then was Cynthia Okeke, and the attendees were exposed to drone operation. On April 22, 2022, Drones for Agriculture was also one of the events that we held. Our instructor then was Femi Adekoya, who is known as the Flying Farmer. And on May 25, 2022, we visited some schools here in Lagos State in Ekpereamaka School, where introduction to drone to high was taught. And all these were posted on LinkedIn and on our IG platforms. So you can always go to our social media platforms to check out these posts and these events. June 9, 2022, we had a community training, and that community training was a graphic design training by Mecca Oluku. On June 30, we had a community training, photogrammetry training, which was delivered by Chidinma Eke. And on June 2022, we collaborated with USA Geological Survey to participate in a gender-based identity survey within the Earth observation community. We had so many events throughout the year of 2022, trainings, collaborations, and so many other things. Our board of trustees include Adeolu Akinwale, Kayode Akinwale, Kat James, Belurose Okuji Duruji, and the directors are Damilola Olufwmi, who is the member drive, Chidinma Eke, the training director, Racheal Ayeni, the social media engagement, and Tadala Makumuni. So if you wish to join the Sheflies community, I'll be sending the link into the chat box now. Just fill the form and follow us on all our social media platforms. So thank you so much, and I hope you enjoyed the session. So Safinaz, over to you.
Thank you, Racheal. Thank you, and thank you for accepting our invitation to collaborate with African women in GIS in this series about drone technology. Okay, can you stop?
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Now let's move to starting our first session about introduction to drone technology. The speaker will be Chidinma Eke. She is an urban planner, also drone pilot and geospatial analyst. She is from Sheflies. Chidinma, can you hear me? Okay. Chidinma?
Okay, I can hear you. I can hear you now.
Okay, great. You can start now your presentation. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, can you
Okay,
start?
can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes, I'm trying to share the screen.
to share your screen, I think. Okay, just a moment.
All right. Okay, so while Safinaz is trying to make me a host so I can share my screen, I don't know if you can all hear me. My name, I'll do another introduction. My name is Eke Chidinma. Can we all hear me?
Yes, your voice is clear.
All right. So while we wait for me to be able to share my screen, I'd like us to drop our different industries. I know we're 68 on this call. I'd like to have an idea of the various industries we're coming from, irrespective of the country. So if we can all share our various industries in the chat box, it's also going to help me in channeling my presentations towards your area of interest. So me, as for me, my name is Eke Chidinma. I'm an urban planner, so I utilize GIS and drone technology in urban planning. So everything I do is targeted towards urban planning.
Sorry, Chidinma. Now you can share your screen.
All right, thank you.
My pleasure. Okay, our audience, if you have any question, please drop it to the chat box and Chidinma will answer it after finishing her presentation. Okay, the floor is yours, Chidinma.
All right, thank you. So like I was saying, I'm a drone pilot, and I apply drone technology to urban planning, and I would like to also have an idea of the different industries that we are coming from. So that way, when I'm talking, I can give examples in your different areas. Well, while that is going on, I would like to welcome us to this very, very interesting section. I'm very, very happy to be on this platform to actually share my bit of my knowledge to the community. It's been a great industry. I must tell you that the drone industry is one of the most interesting industries to be in. And yes, in as much as there's still need to engage more females in the drone industry, I think this is a very, very good platform to strike an interest in people. Now I'm going to start my presentation. Okay, I can see some people have responded: remote sensing, GIS, agronomy, GIS. All right, so I'm going to start my session. You're all welcome to today's session. So my training today will be focused on 5 outlines, which is we're going to be discussing what the drone is, what are the benefits of a drone, the various classification of drones, what are the components of a drone. And for the components of a drone, irrespective of the fact that drones are different, I'm going to be using a particular type of drone to just show us the different components of this particular type of drone. And then from there, we'll go on to the different various applications of the drone. Now, what is a drone? A drone is actually an aerial vehicle that is controlled remotely or onboard or via onboard computers. Now, a lot of people make use of the word drones. Some say UAV, some tell you UAS, some tell you it is RPAS. All these are just various names that the drone is being called. And then your UAV is your unmanned aerial vehicle. Your UAS is your unmanned aerial systems. Your RPAS, remotely piloted aircraft system. And then your RO is your remotely operated aircraft. And of course, your UA. All these are just different names that is attached to the drone. Now, the drone is basically a flying robot. It is controlled remotely, as we've already established. There's always the drone, there's always the remote controller, which and it utilizes a software. So the remote controller talks to the aircraft, talks to the drone, and then the software is what communicates with your phone. Communicates with your phone and the remote controller, so you're able to see what the drone sees. Although it is also not the same for all types of drones, but basically that's usually what you get. So a drone is essentially a flying robot that is operated remotely. Some of them fly autonomously using software to control them. It is an embedded system, and it works with onboard sensors and GPS. And that's one of the selling points of the drone, the GPS, the fact that it is geotagged. So meaning images that the drone captures already geotagged, and they are very reasonably accurate up to an extent. Yeah. Then most people identify the UAVs with the military. It used to be for the military before it became commercialized, and then you now have the people using it for videography. Some make use of it for commercial purposes, which is like your regular drone mapping. And now different civilians have gotten their hands on the drones. Some people just use it for videos, for pictures, just for personal use. Now, there are different advantages of the drone. Why do we even need to learn this? Why do we need to have a drone? Why do we need the knowledge about the drone technology? Like, what exactly is it that, what's so special about the drone? Now, there are different advantages of, I don't know if you can all hear me. I don't want to just keep going on and off. Can we all hear me? Hello? If you can hear me, please just type yes so I can continue.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. So now the drone is of great benefit because it's time saving. It has a very quality aerial imaging capacity in terms of the camera resolution. For most of us that are coming from the GIS background, I'm sure you know your satellite images and the issues with resolution. And that's what that's one of the advantages of using the drone. Now you have your Landsat, which is 30 meters resolution, of which you don't really see very detailed information. You can just generalize when you're doing your analysis, your remote sensing analysis. But that's where the drone comes in. It is precise, it is very high imagery, and you're able to see very minute details of what's happening on ground. Like I said, where I'm coming from urban planning, from the urban planning industry. And there's a limit to what you can see based on from the ground. But having the drone in the air, you're able to see what is exactly happening in that particular site that you're trying to plan for. So by the time you gather the image, you process the images, and then you're able to see, by the time you compare the quality with your satellite imagery and your drone, you cannot compare both of them. The drone's image is of very high quality. And when you're processing, most times you're able to get your topographic map details from there. You're able to get a very detailed digital elevation modeling. And like I said, this is for those that are GIS inclined, and also even those in the agricultural industry too. When it comes to the topography of the land, when it comes to the drainage systems, the data gotten from the drone is a huge help in those areas. And then it's also easy to deploy in terms of security. There are places that you go to. If you go there on your own, it is a risk to your security. But by the time you use a drone to fly there, you find out that you're saving you and your team a lot of stress, especially in the areas that are not really human friendly. Then it's also good for inspections. You need to just inspect. There are a lot of people making use of the drone for building inspection. Yes, like maybe there's a structure, it's under construction. You need to know what's happening at every level. The drones are also used for inspection, for building inspection. They're used for volumetric analysis. What's the quantity of sand that the tipper just delivered? What's the quantity of gravel that this site needs? What was available and what needs to be replenished? So drones are very versatile right now, and it's actually a good thing. And I think every industry, there's always a need for the drone in almost every industry. Also, another benefit is the in-depth, is the detail that the data gives you. Now, for more flights of the drone, now I'm talking about using the drone for mapping an area, maybe a site. You're getting an automosaic that after processing the images, you're getting a digital elevation model, which you can also get your digital surface model from. You could also get a 3D model from that flight. A lot of people also make use of drones to inspect towers, power towers, electricity towers. So there's a whole lot that the drones can be used for. And also, it's also precise. What I said earlier, when it comes to GPS, and that is very, very important to urban planners, to geographers, to GIS analysts, the fact that it's very precise when it comes to location. It's all its images are geotagged, and you're able to convert it to whichever coordinate system it is you want to convert to. Then there are different when it comes to drones, there are different classifications. People classify drones based on the use, its design, its range, or its size, because there is no one clear, there's no one clear classification. So you just have to use these different areas to classify the drone. And then when it comes to classification based on the use, we have the hobbyist drones. Like I said, people that make use of the drones for just pictures, videos, parties, just for their personal use. They're not using it for a commercial purpose. Yeah, so these most times they're usually small. It's just for them. They don't usually, people that make use of these drones, they don't usually need a license to operate this type of drones, because it's just for personal use and it's just a small, and it's usually small. Then, but when it comes to the commercial drones are used for drone mapping, area photography, urban planning, geospatial analysis. You need to carry out a topographic analysis of the site. You need to get you need to do a volumetric analysis, and then you've been asked to do the mapping. You're doing it for a commercial purpose. And then it's also important to know that when you're going into commercial, you need to be trained as a drone pilot. You cannot just pick up a drone for commercial purposes. You need to be trained. If you're working for a company, your company needs to have a license to operate the drone, because in as much as the drone is very good, it's also dangerous, and you all need to understand the safety guidelines behind its use, and for your own safety, for the safety of the people on site, and for the safety of like everybody. So that's why I'm including this bit. You need to be licensed to operate the drone for commercial purposes. Your company needs to have a license to operate the drone. Now, I think on the call, I saw my instructor, the Pili, and I'm just saying hi to her. She's the one, okay, that this picture is a picture I took in Malawi when I went for my training, and the Pili was my instructor, and I'm saying hi because I saw her on the call. The Pili, greeting. So now the next one is your military drones. Yeah, those are specific for specific purposes. They are the ones that probably for monitoring, for surveillance, probably they need to drop something. And I think that's part of the reason why some people feel that the drones are very harmful, because of this whole military usage and it being used as a spy for different. But then you cannot still neglect the benefits the drone brings to the world, because the use of the drone, just like you have the good and the bad, you cannot take it away from it. So when it comes to military drones, there are some drones that is for specific use. There are drones that are used for monitoring, for surveillance. They're used for specific military operations. And then we have the drones based on size. You have your nano drones. Most times they're always the hobbyist type of drones. And then you have your mini drones. And the categories that fall under the drones that fall under these categories are probably, you have your DJI Mavic Pro, your DJI Mavic Enterprise. You have then for your medium drones, I think the most popular drones that are more rampant when it comes to commercial use is your Phantom 4 Pro. That's your medium drones. That's this white one is more common. It's a medium-sized drone. And then you have your large drone. An example of a large drone is the M300, the DJI Matrix 3 M300. It's a very big drone. It's a very high resolution drone. It stays in the air more than all these other ones. It can carry two different payloads. And by payloads, I'm talking about sensors, your camera. So on this particular picture, you can see two different sensors. This is a sensor, this is a sensor. So it can carry two different payloads. It's a large drone. And when it's any type of drone you're operating, you need to be very, very safety conscious. Like, I cannot emphasize on safety, because no matter how small or how big it is, these things can cause damage. Now I'm going to use an example of when I went to field, went to a site to map. Now there was the issue of the drone disconnecting, because it kept on saying drone and remote controller disconnected. Drone and remote controller disconnected. Now imagine if people were around and then such a thing happens and your battery is down. Imagine the drone just falling on somebody. Now these things happen because it's technology. Yes, most times glitches happen, things can happen. So everybody needs to be safety conscious. Now when it happened, luckily there was nobody there. It was just, we were able to bring it back home, check what was the problem. We upgraded the firmware, we tried it again, it didn't respond. And then there's also always this whole thing about iOS, Android. We tried a different phone and voila, it mapped the entire site. There was no issue. So sometimes things like this happen, and if people are around, if there is a crowd on your site, you need to be very, very, very conscious so that nobody gets injured, nobody gets hurt, and you and your drones are intact. And then for drones based on design, you have your rotary drones. That's the ones that they're the most popular. They're easy to control. They have the ability to hover and they're very, very stable, just like your DJI, your hotel, your rotary drones. They are easy to maneuver. They have the ability to hover. Usually they come in 4 rotors or 6, 8, amongst others. They are the most popular quadcopter is your DJI Phantom, like I said, the white one. But this one in the picture is your DJI M300, the Matrix. And one thing about this drone is the fact that it has the RTK, real-time kinetic. That in that you don't need, when it comes to surveying, there's always this issue about accuracy. Accuracy is very, very important. So now when we fly a drone for a site, and maybe the site, we need to be very, very accurate, up to centimeter level accuracy. Most times what we do is, before we got this matrix, what we do is we use the Phantom, then we place GCPs around the site, so that when we process the images with the GCPs, we are able to increase the accuracy of the drone. But now DJI now came up with this M300 RTK. It has the RTK. So all you need to do, instead of placing GCPs around the site, you just get your digital RTK, and then it's able to connect, and your accuracy goes up to sub-centimeter level. And it has reduced the work of the surveyor. Imagine how many people will go on site to mark GCP areas. So imagine the whole moving the equipment to the site. You're moving around, maybe in the bushy area, you have to now find your way in and out, mark. That was what we used to do with the Phantom. But since we got this, there was no need for us to make use of GCP, and our accuracy is still on the very, very high side. Now, when it comes to design, aside the rotary drones, you have your fixed wing. Now, these ones are very special because they have the ability to cover large areas in one flight. Now, like the rotary drones, your DJI and all, some of them, their flight time is 20 minutes, depending on the battery level, how old the drone is, because as the drone gets old, the battery degenerates, and all. But then for your phantom can fly up to like 20, 25 minutes. And then it comes down. You have to put in another battery, it goes up. For your M300, it can go up to like 45 minutes, depending on how good the battery is. And the M300 makes use of 2 batteries. And most of these drones, they have very intelligent batteries that once they are very low, they signal you that, oh, I'm low, this battery is low, we need to come back home. And then it comes back home, you change it, it goes back, and it continues from where you stop. But for this, for the fixed wing, they have longer, they last longer in the air, they cover a large area. But one of the drawbacks is that it needs a runway to fly. Unlike the rotary drones that, given enough space, it can just take off vertically. But for the fixed wing, you need to operate it. It's more or less like you're operating like an airplane. It needs a runway to fly. It needs an airstrip to fly. It's very, very expensive, and it doesn't hover too. So depending on, like I said, when you're choosing the type of drone you need for a particular project, you need to know what you're covering. You need to know the area you're covering. You need to understand that if it's a congested place, you cannot use the fixed wing. It's not going to work because the fixed wing needs space. It needs an airstrip to take off and land. And then, like I said, it's also expensive, unlike your rotors that within minutes it's already in the air, it's already mapping, it comes back home, it's easy to just replace the battery. Yeah, but then the fixed wing, it covers a larger area. Like I said, you need to compare and contrast. What is your aim of the project? What's the aim of the project? What exactly do you want to do? What do you want to achieve? And then that way you're able to choose the drone that is perfect for you. So you might know you don't have, that way you're not going to pick the fixed wing when a quadcopter can.
Hello, Chidinma. I can hear your voice, Chidinma. Sorry, I think she has a problem with her connection. Sorry, all, she will rejoin again.
Let's just give it a couple of minutes.
Yeah, sorry, I'm back. Okay, so I'm going to, I had a network issue. So just continue from this slide. So like I was saying, the vertical takeoff and landing drones, they combine the capabilities of the fixed wing and your rotary drones, and they're able to, they can be launched from a fixed position, they climb vertically upwards, and then they're able to fly and do the job that you need it to do. Now, when it comes to range, classifying drone classification based on range, you're talking about the short range drones, you're talking about your medium range drones, and your long range drones. Then for the short range drones, you're talking about drones that can fly 5 kilometers with a battery life of 20 hours to 1 hour. You're talking about, of which your DJI falls under the short range drones. You're talking about, when you talk about medium range drones, you're talking about drones that can fly up to 50 kilometers in radius with a battery life of 1 to 6 hours. Then for long range drones, you're talking about drones that have an extended range of 150 kilometers, and they're mostly used by the military for spying and surveillance. So you won't really see the long range drones for commercial purposes like that, more for military. Then now for the drones, now this type of drone is this is the body part of your Phantom, which is the common drones, the most popular right now. So you have your drone. The drone now, this Phantom, it has similar properties with other types of drones. It's similar to what is inside it is also what's inside in most drones, because these things are important for it to work. So you have your power source, that's the battery, and most times they are usually intelligent. They are able to, once you put it in the settings, you include it in the settings that at a particular percentage come back home. Then once it's low, it tells you I'm low, it's coming back. It calculates the flight time from where it is to the home point, and is able to calculate, oh, I need so amount of minutes to come back home. And then it notifies you on time that, oh, I'm low, I need to come back. And then you click on the come home button, and then it comes back home. Then you have your rotors, these your propellers, where the rotors that's what holds your propellers. Now for the DJI, you always have to fix the propellers for every flight. But then there are some drones that you don't really need to fix, like the Hotel now. The Hotel, the propellers are fixed. You don't need to refix them every flight. But for your DJI, you need to fix them. You need to detach them when you're done. You need to fix them when you want to fly. Now they spin according to the manual and the automatic controls of the pilot. There's a remote controller for the drone. That's what controls the drone. Now you have your frame, and then it's usually lightweight to reduce weight and increase the ability of the drone to maneuver. Then you have your flight controller, which is used to control the aircraft. On no occasion should your remote controller and your aircraft be disconnected. It's going to be an issue. Then they communicate with the drones using radio waves such as Wi-Fi and the rest. And so these are just body parts of the drone. You have your gimbal, your camera. Most times the camera is also called your sensor, it's also called a payload. So there are times when they use this name interchangeably. So let's just not get confused. And yes, the drone also has sensors. I think that's one good thing too about the drones. When I mean they are very intelligent. So they have these obstacle avoidance sensors that is able to detect obstacles at certain meters. So it tells you the hotel, what the hotel does is at a certain meter, once it detects obstacles, it just starts screaming, it just starts making a sound. But it will fly because you're telling it to fly. But then it's telling you there's an obstacle. So it's up to you to remove the obstacle, or you move away from the obstacle, or you tell it to keep on flying, that there's no issue. So that's why I say these drones are usually very, very intelligent. And now this is your remote controller. Now for this type of drone, you need a phone to operate it. You need a phone because most of these drones, they have an app. So you're able to connect your phone to the controller, open the app. Once the drone is on, the controller is on, everything connects. You're able to see when the drone is in the air and is mapping, you're able to see what the drone is seeing. You're able to see that, okay, it's mapping. There have been occasions whereby the drone just stops mapping. It just continues flying. So when you notice that it has stopped taking pictures. Because when I mean mapping, it's taking pictures, but then the angle at which it is taking these pictures is what's very, very special. It takes pictures at 90 degrees. So now it takes so many pictures that you need a processing software to stitch these pictures together to create an auto mosaic, which is more or less like a map. That's what can be compared to your satellite imagery. So you're able to see very, very minute details from your auto mosaic. And from there, you're also able to get it is through the processing of the images, you're able to get your DEM, your DTM, your DSM, your 3D models, everything you need, the cloud points, whatever it is you need. Is true. When it comes to the drone just takes pictures, and then depending on the sensor you used, you probably use a thermal sensor, an RGB sensor. If you use an RGB sensor, it's taking pictures in RGB color. So you now, using the photogrammetry software, you're able to process these images to create an auto mosaic, which can be brought into the GIS environment. And that's why I said it is very, very interesting, especially when you're in the GIS space. Drone, knowing how to fly a drone, knowing how to process your images, knowing how to do your analysis, I think it is a very, very interesting field. It's a very, very interesting space, because I've been able to, because I'm a drone pilot, because I know how to make use of GIS, and then I'm an urban planner. So the process doesn't stop for me. After I go to site, I fly the drone, I'm able to go back, process my images, get my auto mosaic. If I need a topographic map, I process and get my topographic map. I bring it to my GIS environment, whatever information I need to do. If I need to extract buildings, I extract. If I need to get infrastructures, if it's the road I'm focusing on, I'm able to bring out these features for my analysis. Now, as an urban planner, most times what we do is more of probably a land use map. We were doing a land use, a master plan, we're doing a neighborhood plan. Now we need these details of what's existing on the site. So by the time we gather all this data, we go beyond just analyzing this data. We're able to, okay, is this an opportunity? Is this a threat? Is this a constraint on the site? Oh, this site is waterlogged. Oh, this site is a wetland. Okay, how do we now ensure that we preserve this wetland? So we now go beyond the process. So it's a long stretch of process that is very interesting, and we go beyond it. We go beyond the analysis, and then we're able to, okay, let's provide so solutions for this environmental issue, or let's do this. Okay, it's a wetland. Let's conserve this. Let's preserve this wetland. Okay, no, let's do this, let's do that. So you now prefer solutions. You're now thinking sustainable development. You're now going broader. But like I said, it's a very, I don't know, me, I like what I do. So I might sound like someone who's very, very excited, but it's a very, very sweet process. Knowing how to fly, you're able to process your images. Even if you don't know how to fly, you can still learn how to process the drone image. You can still learn how to process your drone image, get your data, use it for your analysis. You're getting more accurate data. You're not using 30 meters resolution. You're using something that is actually very close to what's on the ground. Like I said, the flight controller is used to control the aircraft. It's used to launch, navigate, and land the aircraft. They communicate with the drone using the radio wave and Wi-Fi. Now, application of drones. I've talked a lot about application of drones in urban planning, because that's where I'm coming from. Now, and also we do surveying too, because we also do surveying. So we make use of drones for site analysis, site selection. We make use of drones for infrastructure planning, monitoring, and environmental impact assessment. It's always very, very important when it comes to environmental impact assessment, because whatever plan it is you're preparing, whatever solution it is you're preparing, you need to ensure that it is sustainable and that you're not doing a disservice to the environment and the people at large. So yes, it's very, very important. We use it for area survey, area mapping, traffic analysis. Yes, to that too. Your drone can be used for traffic analysis. Then in surveying, drones are also used for cartography, land management, precise measurement. Like I said, when it comes to surveying, precise measurements, they are very, very important, because with a very wrong calculation, you might be tampering with someone's land, and you'll be thinking you're on your particular site, you won't know that you've entered another person's land. And whatever it is you're trying to do, it's also affecting the next person. So when it comes to precise measurements, the drones can also give you that in surveying. And then for disaster management and risk management, you have drones that are able to take the roles of relief workers. Now imagine there's flooding in an area, maybe there was a disaster, an earthquake or something, and then instead of sending people there and you're worrying about their safety, you can just deploy the drone. It goes, it inspects, you're able to see whatever the drone sees on your phone, on the controller. Now, one good thing about the M300 is that you don't need a phone for the M300. It has a screen on the controller. So you're able to see what the drone sees, you're able to inspect, monitor, and monitor whatever it is that has happened. You're able to even conduct search and rescue operations using the drone. And then there are cases whereby drones are used to deliver relief materials to affected communities, especially when there are issues with navigation. So you have drones in different aspects being used for different things. Then for agriculture, you have drones being used for crop health monitoring, crop yield estimation. These also in conjunction with your GIS. You're applying GIS and drones for crop health detection, crop yield estimation, disease and pest control. You're also using it for irrigation, planting. There's a company that makes use of drones to spray fertilizers, they spray chemicals on their drone. They have a very, very large, I'm talking about FES in Malawi. They have a very large drone. They have a very large farm. Now imagine the farm is very large, so they have to deploy the drones to spray chemicals. If they were going to do that using manpower like human beings, it's going to take a long time to finish that. But then you now have drones being used for precision agriculture. The drones are very precise about what they are doing, about their measurement, about whatever it is that it's spraying, whether seeds, if it's spraying chemicals, if it's spraying water. The drones are very, very precise. And you also, when you're doing your calculation when you're doing your crop health monitoring, your crop yield, you're sure that the difference with what's in real life is very minimal because the drone is very, very accurate when it comes to estimation. Then there are other areas of which the drone is being used for. So make use of it for videography, traffic monitoring. And that's where AI comes in now, because traffic monitoring, most times it comes in as a video. Now, many people are used to structured data, like analyzing structured data, but a lot of people are not really focusing on structured data, where you have your videos, where you have your images, where you have, so with artificial intelligence and machine learning, you're able to monitor traffic, you're able to create a model that can detect cars, count cars, that can tell you the volume of traffic in that area. It's able to help you in signalization. It's going to help you in in controlling traffic, because most of all these traffic controls, they also make use of it. So the drones can also help you get this data, able to monitor traffic, and you're able to solve solutions and solve solutions, yes. And then you have your logistics. So there are companies that like Zipline. Zipline is a very, very popular company in Rwanda. And the good thing is they've expanded. They're in Nigeria too. They're trying to see what they started with. They started with delivering supplies, medical supplies, but now they've expanded to delivering lunch. They've expanded to retail. They've expanded to health. So they're expanding. Now these are people that are trying to tell us that using the drone for delivery is very, very can be possible. Now, how it will work in Nigeria, I don't know, but it's saying, well, from what they've done, how far they've gone, it's actually possible to use drones for logistics. And I think they are just breaking grounds on the logistics in the logistics industry. And then you have your medical supplies delivery. So a company like Soup Aero too does very great in this area. They're able to control their drone run autonomously. They're able to control their drone with the software. It knows where to go to, where to drop it. It comes back by itself. So drones are becoming very, very, very extremely intelligent. And then you have your application in geography, in geology. The areas where you can use drones are just very, very vast. And the fact that the same way you can apply GIS, the same way you can apply drones in these different areas, because GIS too is a very, very broad and vast area. And drones too can be applied, especially because the fact is that drones are tools that are used in gathering data. In as much as it's good to have the knowledge of how to get data, it is better, it is even better to understand how to make use of this data you're collecting. How can you make sense of this data you've collected? Now there's a new, it's not new, but now people are able to do LiDAR mapping. LiDAR is very extremely precise. So now imagine the kind of data you get from LiDAR, and you're able to, your drone is able to map an area, you're able to use your sensor, you're able to get data, and you're able to translate that thing using GIS, using your software, and you're able to have great insight. Like it's a very related process, especially when you look at it from the drone, the output, the process. It is very, very related, and like I always say, it is very, very interesting. So now this brings me to the end of our section. I tried to go off, but it's been nice sharing my little knowledge with you. It's been a great session, and I'd like to say thank you for having me. If you have any questions, you can drop them in the comment section, and then we'll answer it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chidinma, for this informative presentation about drones. As it's my first time to know this information about the drones. I think we have a couple of questions here. Angela, are there future planned trainings on making sense of data collected? Chidinma? Chidinma? Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, we have questions.
Okay, the first one. Can you help me ask the question, then I answer?
I will.
I'm trying to
I will. Don't worry.
All right.
I will start from beginning.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Do you need license before you can use it?
Yes, like I said, for commercial purposes, you need the license to fly a drone, because there's a whole lot attached to the drone. There's a whole lot, especially when it comes to safety. You just don't need any type of person to fly a drone, because the kind of disaster it can cause is as huge as the potential. So you need, once it comes to commercial purposes, you need to have a license. Your company needs a license to fly. So yes, you do.
Okay. From Susan, I think our major challenge is the financial aspect, because I learned they are expensive. Is there an organization where an individual can contact for aerial data or liaise with generate data?
Okay, for that, I think there's this crowd running company, Globe. I think I'll just look for the site and drop it. I think what they do, they try to gather as much as much image as they can, but chances that they'll get your area of interest might be slim. Yes, it's kind of expensive as that now, but it's still possible because they try. I think they do a lot. The last time I checked, there are areas where they have data for, so you might have to check them. They do something like that. But then I don't know about the way you're coming from the country, but if you're looking for, I think from the question, you're talking about just getting the data, not learning the skill, right?
Okay, someone asking how we can get the slides. Can you share your slides?
How? Oh, okay. Yes. Sure. Yeah, you will get the slides.
Okay. Another question. What type do you recommend for plastic pollution monitoring?
That's it. Then it depends on the area you're monitoring. Which area are you monitoring? What's the size of the area? Because all these things are, what's the landmass of what you're monitoring? But ideally, your quadcopter would do. And then, are you monitoring the streets? What exactly are you monitoring? If you're monitoring plastic, is it the disposal of plastic on the roads? So it depends on what you want to do. But if it's what is in my head, what I understand from your question, I think a quadcopter will do, not your fixed wing. Because those also be easy to map and then you'll be able to get your data.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next one. What are the various rules in the drone career?
I didn't get you.
What are the various
Can you repeat
rules in the drone career?
various roles?
Rules.
Okay. For a career in drone, you have the drone maintenance officer. I think the person has an engineering background, knows how to fly a drone, knows how to operate the drone, knows what is being used in making the drone, and is able to service the drone if there are faults in it. Then you have your drone pilot, which is your trained pilot, the one that can actually fly the drone. And then when it comes to being a drone pilot, you have your beyond visual line of sight license. So not everybody, there are different categories when it comes to being a drone pilot. There are people that have the license to just fly within visual line of sight. And then there are people that have the license to fly beyond line of sight, meaning when you're flying beyond, you can fly your drone and your drone is not within your visual range. So there are different aspects when it comes to that. There's also, you can also categorize the career in the drone industry based on the various industries, because I know people that their own aspect of the drone is to use it for oil and gas monitoring. They monitor pipelines, they inspect pipelines, they're able to use the drone to check for faults on the pipeline, if the pipeline is degrading. So you can also use the different industries to also create a niche for yourself. Then there's also the aspect of the data analysis part. Being able to use your photogrammetry software, you have the Aegis-Soft, you have your Pix4D mapper. There are different photogrammetry software whereby even in as much as you might not know how to fly the drone, you're able to process this data. And then if you have a knowledge in GIS, you're able to extract information from this data. You can do your feature extraction, probably you're extracting roads, your buildings, whatever analysis it is you want to do. So there are different areas because the industries are vast. So it's actually very, very different and very creative too.
Okay. As you said, you have to know how to process and analyze this data. So which software does the drone use?
Okay, so for the drone now, when it comes to flying the drone itself, there's a software. Like DJI, they have their own DJI pilot software. There's map pilots for flight planning and mapping and all. Then there's this other drone type, Hotel. Hotel has its own software when you're flying the drone, when you want to map, when you want to plan your flight. But the apps for flight planning and actually mapping is different from what you use for processing. Now, when it comes to processing, that's where you now have your Aegis, your Pix4D mapper or enterprise. But when it comes to the drone itself, mapping itself and flying itself, most of these drones have their own software that you have to install on your phone. Like DJI Matrix, like I said, you don't need the phone. It already has a screen on its controller, and the apps that are needed are already there. So if you need to update, you can connect it to the Wi-Fi, update whatever it is you need to update. But if it's your Phantom, you need to connect your phone. You need to use your DJI Pilot. If it's Hotel, you need your Hotel app. So there are different softwares, but then they're also easy to learn too. They're not rocket science.
Okay. Are there future planned training on making sense of data collected?
I think that's a possibility. That's another area that we can look at, because there's a whole lot when it comes to drone data. You're talking about, especially when you're looking at the different sensors, and these different sensors are collecting different data. You have your RGB camera, you have your thermal camera, it's collecting a different sensor, and you're using it to monitor different things. So yes, it can be, I think it's up for the organizers to organize, but it's an area that is also very vast and needs attention to. Yeah. Is that all? Any other question? Hello?
Sorry. I was talking while I'm mute.
All right.
Okay, someone asking to have your email.
By email.
Yeah.
I'll drop that.
Okay. Okay, another question. Can we think that a marine drone is existing for a study in bathymetry?
What do you say? Can you repeat the question?
Okay, can we think that a marine drone is existing for a study in bathymetry?
Okay, yeah. Okay, from what I know, I'm aware of, there's a drone for search and rescue underwater. There are underwater drones for search and rescue. So the drone is able to go underwater to actually for search and rescue, just like the word is being used. But I'm not sure if the drone can be used for battery, because for battery we still make use of the echo sounder and all. But I think it's an area you can also look into. But I know that there are underwater drones for search and rescue.
Okay. What role does Pix4D software play in drone analysis? Please explain further what it can be used for.
Yeah, for Pix4D, they have different types of software. They have the Pix4D capture, which you can use for your flight planning and you can use for capturing. They have different range of softwares. But then when it comes to processing, you have your Pix4D Enterprise. It used to be Mapper, but I think now it's Enterprise. Either Pix4D Mapper or Pix4D Enterprise. That's for processing your drone image. You're able to get your 3D modeling from the app. So yes, there are different. When it comes to flight planning, you have your Pix4D capture. Then for processing, you have your Pix4D Enterprise. So I think there are more information on their website too. Yeah.
Okay, are there free softwares for processing drone imagery?
Like I said, there's Aegis, and then you have these ones are the ones that I know that are very, very accurate, and they're also also easy to learn too. they're very easy to learn because the workflow on it is not hard. One, the workflow is very, very straightforward. That's for these two softwares, it's very, very straightforward. The only thing is it's actually a paid platform. But I think there's another open source one. I'm trying to remember the name, I can't remember the name, but you need to wait. If you're using it for a commercial purpose, you're thinking of the output for your client. So using the paid option is always going to be the best if it's for commercial. But if you want to learn, I think using the open source tool is also not a bad idea.
Okay, is the training that you offer to individuals who wants to fly drones certified with the relevant aviation authority?
Okay, presently, no, I don't run a training for licensed pilots. But then if you want to, I was trained through African Drone and Data Academy, ADDA. They are based in Malawi and it's a UNICEF-sponsored program. So there's a level 1 course for certificate in drone and data technology, of which is your guaranteed link to the level 2, where you're able to come for an in-person training in Malawi. So I think that platform too is one that we can all explore. So they don't just look at the drone in isolation, they also come in with the GIS and how to make use of your data too. So I think for someone who's interested in learning, going through the ADDA, African Drone and Data Academy, is a good plus for you.
Okay.
That was where I got my training. So aside field experience, my professional training was from them.
Okay. Which software can be used for joining photos taken?
For joining?
For joining photos taken or taken.
Okay, so I'm going to put it down. Agisoft and Pix4D Mapper. Photogram for. I want to type it in the comment section. Process. So Agisoft and your Pix4D Enterprise. Is there any other question? Do you have any other question?
Yes, sure. Sorry. I would like to know if it's possible to produce the EDOT data with DG Phantom 4.
I didn't get that.
Sorry, I would like to know if it's possible to produce the EDOT data with DG Phantom 4.
To reduce the data?
Yes.
How do you want to reduce the data?
Produce.
Okay.
Produce.
Okay, oh. The DJI Phantom is for you to collect your data. But when it comes to processing it, it's not for you to process. It's for you. I think there are other software that DJI has, but for collecting your data, your DJI is for collecting data using the drone. So the app is what communicates with your remote controller and your drone, and then you're able to see what the drone is able to see, and you're able to talk to the drone. You're able to control the drone, make you do your setting, your home point. You're able to set when the battery gets low, what should happen. You're able to tell the drone if there's an obstacle of so and so meters away from us, you need to stop or maybe come back home. So you're able to do all these settings using the app. Yep.
Okay, please can you list the different software used in processing the drone images?
I just did that.
Yeah, okay. Sorry. What does it take to be a drone pilot?
Okay, what it takes to review a drone pilot? Oh, you need to be interested. You need to be very safety conscious. You need to be trained.
Okay. I think it's the same question. How long does it take to be trained and have a license? Do we have standard training package across Africa? Hello? Chidinma? Hello? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Oh, internet issues. I'm really sorry. Chidinma will rejoin again. Okay, while the Chidinma rejoin, you can feel free to fill the form to get your certificate, participation certificate for this session. Also, we will publish and share on our social media about the next sessions. And please follow us to know when it will be.
Hello?
Okay, welcome back.
Thank you.
Okay,
We're done with the questions, right?
I think still one question.
There's one.
Yeah.
Which one is that?
Let me just a moment. Do the sensor come with the drone?
Can you repeat the question?
Do the sensors come with the drone?
Some do, some don't.
Okay.
So sometimes you have to specify. Sometimes you have to specify where your. Some of them list the drone as parts, so you have to specify. Oh, it's the full part, and then you now specify the particular sensor you want. So when they sell, I think they sell them separately, but then you have to specify. Then some of them come with it, like the hotel is the sensor is already attached to the drone, so yes, it comes with it. But then for your M300, because you can detach the sensor to different payloads, you need to specify which sensor you want to use. Is it the LiDAR? Is it the L1? Is it the P1? And then, so you need to specify, and LiDAR sensors are not cheap. Those are
Okay.
expensive. LiDAR are not cheap, so you have to specify it too. So it depends on the company and then the type of drone you're buying.
Okay, Chidinma. How about standalone apps like Esri applications for drone mapping? Are some of these applications restricted to the type of imagery? If not, how do we buy it?
I didn't get the question.
Okay, I will repeat it. How about standalone apps like Esri applications for drone mapping?
Okay.
Are some of these applications restricted to the type of imagery? If not, how do we buy it? Maybe I
Okay,
can
so
start.
if I get your question,
Mhm.
if I get the question, she's talking about mapping, drone mapping, subsets for drone mapping, right?
I think she's asking about applications like Esri for drone mapping. If it's not allowed to use all the type of imagery, if not, how we buy it.
You can bring in any type of imagery into Esri. You can bring in any imagery into QGIS. There's no restriction for your imagery.
Okay, I think I will send.
QGIS, you can bring in
I
you
think.
can bring in any imagery.
Okay, maybe you can check the
How
chat.
about that?
I sent the question.
Okay, how about standalone apps like Esri application for drone mapping? So this is restricted to the type of imagery not valid by. No, I don't think. I'm not sure if Esri has a particular application for drone mapping, but I know that you can do your normal remote sensing with a drone map, with a map from the drone. You can do your regular remote sensing using your ArcGIS Pro, your ArcMap. I'm sure you can do that even with QGIS. So it's not restricted. Yeah. So okay, someone just said yes, Esri has a drone to map extension. Okay. So they don't have an app, but then there's an extension. I'm just realizing that now, but I know that once it comes to the product of the drone, there's no restriction. You can bring it in, regardless of the type of data it is. Then when it comes to mapping, maybe when it comes to drone mapping itself, there are when it comes to flight planning, there are some map pilots made easy. There are some other softwares that are not attached to drone type. Like now, when you can make use of Pix4D capture with DJI, because now when it comes to Pix4D to DJI Phantom, their app is not on Android. It's not available for and was not available on Android. I don't know if it's available now, but as at that time, it wasn't available on Android. So to make use of Android, to make use of an Android phone to fly a DJI, a lot of people had to download Pix4D capture. So yes, sometimes this cross-platform software they do happen. But most times, if the app was usually on their iOS, it was always on iOS, but then it wasn't available on Android. So you were able to use Pix4D capture to map.
Okay.
But then that's it.
Can you please throw light on
The spectral drones.
Throw more light on NGO, okay. Mostly how it can be used mostly in health. Okay, for health, mostly what most drones, there are different areas that drones have been applied for in the health industry. And the one I'm aware of is in delivering supplies to disadvantaged areas. There was a training I went for, we had a medical doctor on the in-person training. And when she was asked, okay, you're a medical doctor, what do you think what do you need a drone for? And then she was like, oh, okay, when they go for, there are some areas that are not really, really navigable, there are some areas that are very vulnerable. She will want to learn how to fly a drone to be able to send supplies, able to do just about anything because these areas are very, very vulnerable. So when it comes to NGOs, I think the drone industry is more delivery of supplies, sometimes blood. It could be a very sensitive material that is time bound. So they are also effective in medical supplies. It's very, very effective in the health industry too. I think that's what I can think of right now. But I'm sure if you look further, there are different areas in which you can. And then when it even health, you're also talking about disasters too, trying to find search and rescue. I think they are very vast areas aside delivering supplies to disadvantaged areas.
Okay, I think we have finished all the questions. No more. Okay, thank you, Chidinma. And last chance of if you have any question, please drop it before ending the session.
What did you say?
Yeah, I can't see any question. Okay, I think now we can end our session for today. Thank you, Chidinma, to have you today. It was really, really great session and an informative presentation about the drone. Yeah.
Thank you for
Okay.
having me. So I'll share the slides to you so you can distribute.
Okay. Please don't forget to fill the form to get your certificate and follow us to know when it will be the next session about the drones. Okay, thanks all for joining us today. Hope to see you all next time. Have a good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Bye-bye.